What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. We're doing a back-to-back episode for today. So, in this episode, we're talking about that Pinoy Liga Cup rivalry game last Saturday, Ateneo versus Lasal. It was a rivalry game, yes, but it was beat down. Ateneo losing badly to Lasal. We did get to see some of the top point guards from Lasal and the debut of Jared Pai. So we will talk about that, all of that today. So let's get started. So before we talk anything about else, I just want to hear your initial reactions from that game. Um, let's start with you, Maui, since naka-Boleros blue ka.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest recorded margin when it comes to Ateneo Lasal. I'm not sure if it's correct, but I read it sa one of the Ateneo groups. I think yung biggest UAP margin is 25 points. I don't know if there's a bigger margin in the NCAA. That's a long time ago. But it's crazy. Lasal is just harping, playing on a different level. Them even deciding to play Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclaan and Luis Pablo in the preseason is crazy, in my opinion. Maybe they want to see how they fit into Coach Topek's system, which they will be ingrained into also in season 88. I guess that's what's beautiful about Pinoy Liga. Pinoy Liga gives teams the opportunity to play players who are not even eligible for the coming season, diba? But LaSalle was just harping on a different tune. I think Ateneo, this is really if people were talking about a rebuild, this is probably yung totoong rebuild. Last year was not a rebuild. They still had some key players like Balungay, Gio Chu, who were part of the championship teams, Gab Gomez. But this is really the full rebuild of Ateneo. This is generally a new team. It's gonna, if the heartbreaks of last season was very bad to alumni, I would probably say to exercise patience and caution with his team. We don't want these guys to lose interest. We don't want these guys to feel hurt this early. We just have to trust the process. We trusted Tab Baldwin when we lost a ton of players. Now we have to trust Coach Tab when it comes to the rebuild. But when you talk about LaSalle, their team is really on another level. I think LaSalle has really cracked yung key to competing in the UAAP. It's not just about recruiting players. It's about recruiting players who will fit your team's culture, who will fit your system. And I think all of those three players show that they potentially belong in LaSalle. Gab.
Okay, I'll give my thoughts, but please excuse my dog as he is feeling clingy right now. So on the LaSalle side, this is a preview of season 88, and oh my God, they are gonna be scary in season 88, assuming KQ stays, of course, as usual. But that will be the final year of KQ and Mike Phillips in LaSalle, and this was a hell of a preview for LaSalle fans and for the rest of the UAAP. Jacob Cortez, Kian Baclaan, and Luis Pablo all played, and my goodness sake, were they so impressive. A low-key player we haven't been watching or talking about, Henry Agonane, I think is going to play a really big role for the De La Salle Green Archers this upcoming season. He essentially is going to push down Mike Phillips to power forward. And they're like, what? You thought Mike Phillips was a dangerous lob threat? Now they have another one in Henry Agonane, and that's a big thing. 2 lob threats right now for KQ, and in season 88, 2 lob threats for Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclaan. Scary. How are you gonna battle with that front court, no? And I love that Henry Agonane runs the floor so actively. He protects the rim, and then he's the first one down on the other end, and just he's gonna be a great target for the LaSalle guards and for KQ. So I'm excited to watch him. And Maui, you pointed out na Gab, you would like si Jacob Cortez, a true point guard, and my God, was I impressed with how Jacob Cortez played. I mean, guys, I don't watch the NCAA that much. I didn't watch Jacob Cortez past season with San Beda. But if he left San Beda, oh my God, what a big loss for San Beda. Because Jacob Cortez was so impressive against the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Controlled the game. You cannot speed them up. That was one of the more impressive things. Despite being a small guard, he was not sped up by any defensive pressure, by any offensive production that was needed. He just played his game and distributed the ball. Found KQ on wide open threes for a couple of possessions. Got to the basket. Easy scores inside the paint, floaters, layups. Man, they're gonna be scary. And Kian Baclaan, I think we know already what Kian Baclaan brings. A steady hand at point guard, who can shoot the three, hit a couple of threes right there. And I love the defensive pressure that LaSalle gave Ateneo, just forcing Ateneo into a ton of turnovers and getting to the line as well. That's something that was very apparent, especially in the first half. I think they had 19 free throw attempts, made 15 of them compared to Ateneo's 8 free throw attempts in the first half. Scary things for LaSalle. So season 88 looks like, oh man, I don't want to give it to LaSalle, but man, they sure look like the favorite for season 88. On the other hand, for the Blue Eagles, I want to cry because you said, Sabi, this is a rivalry, and I'm like, what rivalry? We're not gonna be rivals to this LaSalle team in season 87. We're gonna get demolished. 46-19 was the rebound advantage. 46-19. 19 rebounds. We couldn't grab anything from this LaSalle team. A low-key thing that was our centers suck. Victor Balogun sucks. And Kyle Ong sucks. They were manhandled by the LaSalle front line. And man, it's gonna be I know Maui. And we've been preaching this since the start. We were gonna have to be patient with this Ateneo team. A lot of their rotation players are either in their first year or in their second year. And in those in their second year, nearly none of them got minutes in their first season. So I know patience, but man, it was tough to watch. You can't help but feel a little bit frustrated with how Ateneo played. They fouled a lot. No defensive discipline whatsoever. They weren't boxing out. I mean, you're already small to begin with, and you're not boxing out. Frustrating. They missed a ton of threes as well. Siguro we'll talk about it more of the individual players, but a very frustrating game for Ateneo, especially if you're a fan of the Blue Eagles. It was really, really frustrating. Sammy.
Okay, next question. So Gab talked about a guy that stood out for LaSalle, si Jacob Cortez. And I know Maui sa chats natin, you really like Jacob Cortez's game. Any other player that stood out for LaSalle for you, Maui?
Yeah. I think si Gab also mentioned yung name niya, and I think it's Henry Agunade. Diba? If people from our comment section are saying he's just big, but this guy is skilled. If you watch yung game, as Gab mentioned, he usually runs very, very fast to the other end of the floor. He's a hustle guy, but at the same time, he also has handles. I think he beat Mason to the basket a couple of times. Diba? That's crazy for a big man. He probably has a more advanced offensive game than Mike Phillips. I don't know if he has the same motor as Motor Mike, but it's gonna be scary having Agunane and Mike Phillips on that front court. But I just have to bounce off also on Gab. I really think that Ateneo was just really manhandled yesterday because of Agunane, because of Mike Phillips, because of all these big men. And even Policarpio wasn't even there, di ba? Si Raven Cortez was very good.
Great point. I didn't even notice that Polly wasn't there. Just watching how
Raven
they
Cortez
decimated
well
Ateneo.
Gumawa
Policarpio.
solid din si Raven Cortez kahapon.
Diba? Policarpio is their enforcer. Quote-unquote enforcer was not even there. And Ateneo looked like children playing with a couple of men yesterday. I don't think it will be this bad for Ateneo the whole season. But when it comes to this game, they were just manhandled. They got surprised. Maybe they did not expect this type of basketball. Most of their first few games, they were able to go toe to toe with all of their opponents, despite losing. This game was just a blowout. You can feel it nung start pa lang that they were going to get blown out. I'm just happy that I decided not to go to Enderan to watch this game. It probably would have broken my heart to see this Ateneo team. But just final thoughts on that one. I just have to say that if kaya ng Lasal magtiis ng 5 taon na hindi na nanalo sa Ateneo, then we have to be patient. We have to trust the process. But it will be a long season. If you thought last season was long, this could be probably be more testing than last season. But Lasal, you can name a lot of players who were interesting yesterday. I really like si Luis Pablo. I think this is the first time that I've seen him showcase yung talents niya.
Good point.
In the UAE, in the college setting. You can see that he has, maybe he was pressured also in UP because of the lack of playing time. Maybe this is because it's only a preseason game, or maybe Lasal is just doing a better job. I don't know what's happening. If I were, I think we mentioned this before, if I were Luis Pablo, I would go to Aitona Performance with KQ every day and train with him in Policarpio. He has to model his game with these two. If you can see yung how these two have improved the past 2 or 3 seasons, if we can see this type of improvement with Luis Pablo, it's gonna be crazy. He's gonna probably be one of the top players in the UAP. And I'm happy because he took a chance on himself. And this early on, it looks like that he made the right decision. Sam.
Gab, let's talk about Ateneo naman. Despite the loss, anyone that stood out or anything that stood out to you, could be a player or whatever. Something positive that you can take away from that game. Para naman sa mga
I was gonna say,
fellow Ateneo fans mo dyan, para hindi naman sila malungkot.
yung una pa sa isip ko, yung puro mga negative thoughts eh. Well, you can't, I can't help it. It was a drubbing. But yeah, sige, I'm gonna shout out. I'm gonna look on the positive guide. I'm gonna be a positive Gab for now. And say na, it was an okay debut for Jared Bahay. It was Jared Bahay's first game as an Ateneo Blue Eagle. And it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't that bad. I mean, yeah, he struggled from the field, couldn't get his shots to fall. He hit 3 threes. That's a positive sign. We all know, we all know his struggle. Ateneo struggles with shooting. They can't find any, which is why Jared Brown was so important to that team last season, because he was one of the only guys who could actually shoot the ball consistently. So if Jared Bahay can hit his outside shots, he will get a ton of minutes. He will definitely play a ton in his first season at Ateneo. And I also like that he wasn't sped up for the most part. You know, despite being pressured in the backcourt by Kian Baclaan or EJ Goliena, it didn't speed him up. He was composed. He broke the press, ran the plays. So you like seeing that for in a freshman guard in his first ever game in the seniors division. That was a positive sign. I did feel that he forced a ton of his shots early on. I think he missed his first 6 or 7 shots before he actually hit his first 3. He got blocked by Raven Cortez in his first shot. So that's where it went. So it was a good enough, some positive signs there. I'm excited to see him play more as Pinoy Liga and the Phil Oil preseason cup starts in this weekend, actually. So I'm excited to watch him. And another freshman, another upcoming rookie, Chris Porter. I mean, we've been shouting him out since Ateneo's first game against Papua. He's very mature game. I love how strong he is inside. I was worried that he will not be able to hang as a big man in the seniors division just because he's very undersized. But the way the girth that he has and the strength that he has, he'll be able to hang. I'm not worried now about him. He's one of the only people who was fighting inside against the LaSalle Bigs. He was actually boxing out inside the paint and was able to grab a few rebounds. I mean, Ateneo had 19, so what else can you say about grabbing 4 rebounds? That's pretty big already for Chris Porter. So, and I like that he has a ton. He can post up. He can shoot the 3. Can shoot mid-range shots. So he has a varying offensive game, and I think he's gonna get a ton of minutes for Tampa. Although there's an asterisk, Josh Lazaro is still not here. I think he's still injured. So hopefully he still gets minutes once Josh Lazaro is part of the rotation. But yeah, I think he will. I mean, given how
No other picks.
how awful Kyle Ong and Victor Balogun were yesterday, I think Coach Tab is gonna have to force to go with the front line of Mason Amos and Chris Porter just to get rebounds, man. I mean, we not talked about it much, but Victor Balogun has been underwhelming to say the least. He fouls a lot. He forces a ton of action. He's not that disciplined. I said it already. He doesn't box out. Gets frustrated a ton of times. So there's a ton of development that has to happen before the season for this Ateneo team, and the front court is going to be a pretty glaring weakness. I think Maui, you said this. We have a ton of wings, a few guards, and some big men who are still kulang pa sa kanin na kakainin. I am scared to say this, but we're gonna miss Gio too.
I was gonna say that. I was actually gonna say that.
We're gonna miss Gio too because man, Kyle Ong, I like that he has a jumper, but he gets pushed around so much, and I don't think Kobe De Besana is gonna be an answer. Also, he's pretty slight in build. Also, I think he's gonna get pushed around pretty well. Balogun has to step up. That's the main gist of it. He's their FSA. He's 6'8". He's a tall guy. He has to step up. He has to play better. He has to be more disciplined. He can't get 2 fouls in a span of a minute. Diba? So sad to watch the Blue Eagles. But yeah, the rookies played well. So a good sign for the Blue Eagles. Maui or Sam?
Maui, anything you want to add? I know you're a big fan of Porter then.
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned kanina, Porter has been a welcome surprise. I did not expect him to have this impact this early on. I think Sam tayo surprised tayo when we watched him live. This guy is gonna be probably a rotation guy for Ateneo next year, given the lack of depth in the front court. As Gab mentioned, Ateneo would really miss a Gio Chu type of player. Maybe Gio Chu did not look good on the court at times, but Gio Chu was able to hold his own when it comes to rebounding, when it comes to defense.
And against
he was
FSAs.
Diba? Against FSAs.
He played against FSAs.
Maybe it wasn't flashy. Maybe people didn't see yung impact ng losing a player like Gio Chu. But when you lose a Gio Chu and you don't have any suitable replacement or any replacement even at the same level, that's when you feel it. Ateneo grabbing 19 rebounds is crazy. With I think Chris Kuhn leading Ateneo in rebounds at 4 yesterday. If we look at actually yung game nila yesterday, I don't think it was that bad. It was that bad when it comes to the other side of the floor. I think that they really struggled to defend LaSalle. They were manhandled. LaSalle had a ton of offensive rebounds, probably as much as us, total rebounds. But Ateneo had 12 turnovers. They had 16 assists on 23 baskets. I think that's something that they can build on. They made 11 3-pointers out of 33. That's at a 33% clip. For Ateneo to even contend in season 87, they will have to hit 3-pointers over 30%. These guys have to go get into the gym and hit a lot of 3-pointers. Probably reminiscent to how UE has been able to contend during the past few seasons. But Gabby's right. If Ateneo even has that slight chance to make it to the Final Four, then Balogun has to step up. We know how important an FSA is in the UAAP. If you have a lousy FSA, chances are you won't be able to make the Final Four, just as FEU, just as the other teams that have had lousy FSAs, diba? It's very hard to make it to the Final Four without a suitable or even a competent FSA, just because of the matchup difference, di ba? You can't match Porter up with Agunane for 40 minutes, maybe for some spot minutes, but for the whole 40 minutes, you can't do that. Mason Amos was in foul trouble early on in throughout the game just because he had to match up with Phillips, he had to match up with Agunane. That's something that they cannot afford to have in any game in come season 87. Amos has to get meaningful minutes, has to have that impactful minutes, has to probably score. If I said si Balungay had to score 12 to 18 points, Amos probably has to score 15 to 20 for Ateneo to be consistently good come season 87. A lot of things to work on, but we've seen them play against other teams. They're able to go toe to toe. I think the biggest challenge for Ateneo this coming season 87 would probably be this LaSalle team and the UP team, which have very, very, very tall, long, and athletic players. That's where Ateneo will probably struggle a lot. But there are things to be optimistic. Remember, Ateneo started at 0-5 last season, and they were still able to claw their way to the Final Four. Maybe, as Gab mentioned, these players are rookies and sophomores. Sophomores who didn't even get a ton of minutes during their rookie season. So maybe this team just needs time to understand their roles, to understand the system, and to have a better game plan come season 87. So if we to our Ateneo subscribers, to our Ateneo viewers, I don't think it's time to panic yet. We'll probably know more when we're closer to the season. If they still perform this poorly during the Phil Oil, then maybe that's the time to panic. Sam.
Yeah, shout out to Porter. I think we've been very impressed with him, with his play the past few games, and I know he started at center, won the jump ball against Agunane. I don't think Agunane took it seriously.
He did.
Yeah, and shout out because our friend Mason Amos, when we were interviewing him or we were talking to him, he always mentioned that this rookie, this kid, Chris C. Porter, is really strong, like super strong. So as Gab mentioned, I don't think we're that worried about him like banging with bigs, but obviously he needs help from the other guys in the team also. Jared Bahay, also worth mentioning, definitely as a positive to take out of this is Ateneo slowly starting to complete its roster or lineup. Josh Lazaro, we haven't seen from him yet, but slowly but surely we're getting to see the full lineup of Ateneo. And as you mentioned, Gab, it was a good or okay performance for Jared Bahay, I think. To be fair to him, his Ateneo debut, he went up against the NCAA MVP contender, or the finals MVP, and one of the top point guards of the UAAP, Kian Baclaan. It was very tough to go up against those two guys. So I think it was a decent debut for Jared Bahay. Obviously, he hasn't really practiced that much with the team, and that's something that Coach Tab and the Ateneo coaches have mentioned during the start of Pinoy Liga. It's really trying to get to everyone to play within the system and get to know each other, because this is a very new team. Sabi nga natin, rebuilding team. So to be fair to Ateneo, that's something that the fans can still look forward to, no? Ateneo starting to gel and have a complete team. I guess we haven't talked about him that much then, but Kian Baclaan, any thoughts on his LaSalle debut so far in Pinoy Liga? I mean, the past few games. Gab.
I think I mentioned it at the start, Sam. I mean, this is same old Kian Baclaan. This was the Kian Baclaan who was the main guy at NU, could get hot anytime. I think he got hot in the first or second quarter where LaSalle made their run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit a ton of threes. Yeah. And this is Kian. This is typical Kian Baclaan who we expect can take over a game at any point. It just so happens that he now has other teammates who can also take over games. Unlike when he was in NU, na it was just him and to a certain extent si Jake Figueroa, but now he has a ton of help. Again, this is a preview of season 88. This is why Moore Alaw left. We talked about Moore Alaw in our previous episode. This is why Moore Alaw left.
Good
If I
point.
was not gonna get minutes, it was not gonna crack the lineup or get minutes in season 87, I'm definitely not getting minutes in season 88.
Good point.
With
Good
Kian
point.
Baclaan and Jacob Cortez. I like that they could play together. Yun lang, with Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclaan. They're two smaller guards, but I think that their defensive pressure and LaSalle's defensive principles can allow them to play together. Now, when it's a final series, can they really play together, two small guards, when the other team has a ton of taller players? Diba? We'll see if that can hold. But I like it, man. Same old Kian Baclaan. I do have some other notes though, but I'll let Maui share his thoughts first about
So,
Kian.
ang question ko kay Maui, this was very exciting, di ba? Watching Jacob Cortez, watching Kian Baclaan. But as we keep saying, or as Gab keeps saying, this is for season 88. Season 87 though, other than I think your pick was Josh David last time. Any other guards that you're expecting should sort of take over the reins while we wait for Jacob Cortez, Kian Baclaan in season 88?
Yeah.
So far from what you've seen.
From what I've seen so far with LaSalle, I think KQ will handle the ball a lot more. Mike Phillips will also have playmaking opportunities. It looks like LaSalle will probably play lineups where they don't have that pure point guard. Probably a ton of wings with two bigs in season 87. To Gab's point, I think Baclaan and Cortez really, yung defensive pressure nila work, but it's also because they have Agunane and Phillips and Kiambao on the front court. If LaSalle continues to have that type of luxury of playing three big guys on their small forward to front court positions, then maybe it will be workable to have two small guys, diba? Unless probably it's against UP, who also have tall wings and guards. When it comes to LaSalle, it's just a wait and see. I think for now, maybe we'll see players who shine like Jake Caspay or maybe Makalalag. I don't know. Right now, it's really about the old guys, the players who stepped up for LaSalle in season 85, and they'll probably need 2 to 3 more players to step up. Maybe Abadam can also have some playmaking opportunities. I think I watched a Pinoy Liga game when they ran him at point guard. So it will probably be
That was my pick. That was my pick.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a trial by committee. I think yung problems ng Ateneo before with point guard, LaSalle will also have, but with the luxury of having KQ and a very talented front court, so they still have that benefit. If they don't know what to do, just give the ball to KQ. So I think that's one of the main things that LaSalle has to work on for season 87, yung backcourt rotation nila. I think Abadam is a sure thing for the shooting guard slot. Will VJ David start or will another person start? But I think VJ David is the perfect fit to playmaking wings and bigs. So maybe he starts at point guard. It's a luxury that LaSalle has. They have a lot of players. They have a ton of players. They have a ton of wing players who are very talented. I just think itong Pinoy Liga, they're just experimenting for now and the future. We'll probably see more when it comes to the Phil Oil tournament. Again, as I mentioned nung last episode, I'm a bit surprised that they allowed more allowed to walk away. I really thought that yung big chance to more allowed to shine was this season. But then again, as Gab mentioned, it's only one season.
One season, yeah.
Diba? Come season 88, they will have that two-headed
na.
minion, as Miko Lili mentioned, that Cortez and Baclaan backcourt, who I believe could potentially be the top backcourt rotation in season 88. Sam, Gab.
Okay, Gab, anything else you wanna talk about in this Ateneo Lasal game?
The first point, I didn't get to react to Maui's Luis Pablo shout out, but he was in my notes when watching this game. Luis Pablo looked good, and we saw clips that he's been training with KQ. Like we said, I think he's been watching Boleros, taking our advice, train with KQ, bro, and he's been training with KQ. Okay, but yeah, I loved what I saw. I like that he's playing power forward and not at center like what UP did. I think it was really miscast as a backup center to guys like Malik Diouf and even si Sean Alter when it's in his time with UP. He really should be a power forward, and I'm glad that he primarily served as KQ's backup in this game. In season 88, I think he's gonna be the third power forward. Well, not really, because now KQ is a wing, so he's gonna be the backup power forward, and si Poli is probably gonna play a wing too, yung right behind KQ. So perfect position right now. I think yung tama ka, Maui. I think he bet on himself. He transferred to Lasal, and I think it's gonna work out for him. The other points, I am out on Chris Kuhn already. Oh my god. I know it's a bit of an overreaction, and we love Chris Kuhn, but I am out on him being the guy for Ateneo. He just doesn't have the mindset, the balls to take over the offense. Unlike you contrast that with his teammate, Sean Toanyo. When Shotlock was running down, Sean Toanyo grabbed the ball, called for a pick and roll, and attacked the basket. That's just what I want from you, Chris Kuhn. That's what I've always wanted. That's what I've always dreamed that you could be, but it somehow has not sunk into his head yet that he has to be that guy. And we've talked about Sean Toanyo in our past episodes. Again, I like what I see. I like that he's trying to take over the offense late in the shot clock. I do hope he continues that development. But what a sad debut. Oh, and another minor point. I saw a guy named Chance Carlton. I had to search who he was. He was a third point guard behind Bahay and Ian Espinosa. And he surprised me that he was there. So I had to search. He's apparently from Phil-Am Nation Select in the NBTC. So I think that's where he was scouted. No big reporting regarding his commitment, but he's apparently in Ateneo. So that's a bit of a smaller note I took from that game.
Yeah.
Sammy.
Maui, let's
sorry,
end it with you. Let's end it
Sorry,
with you.
I just have to say lang din, I really like how Espinosa played nung game against
That's
Lasal.
true. That's true.
That was in my notes too, Maui, actually.
That's true.
I liked he's weirdly important to this Ateneo team. I know he gets a ton of crap from Ateneo alumni and Ateneo fans and even from opposing fans, di ba? Because he's a pesky defender, medyo magulang siya, and he's a bit of a dirty player, but he's weirdly important to this Ateneo team.
I have to shout out
Go
to
ahead,
Espinosa. I think yung improvements niya, we probably don't see it sa box score, but if you watch the games closely, this is a different Espinosa from last season. I think he's more composed, he's more relaxed, he's able to adjust more. Gonna are the days that Ateneo constantly has that 24 shot clock because of him, shot clock violation because of him over dribbling. I think he will be vital as Jared Baez back up. Mababaliw na lang ako if he starts over Bahay. I think si Gab would share the same sentiments. But I think Ateneo's point guard problems are okay for this season. I think the bigger question is really yung front court. If there's still time to I don't know if they can pull a rabbit out of the hat and try to get another big. I don't know if they can potentially convince Gio Chu to come back. But the bigs have to do better. Demisana, si Porter is a rookie but is doing more than expected. I think the other guys have to do better, especially Balogun. They all have to do better or Ateneo will have a very bad season. I don't think we can place all the blame on or all the all the weight on the shoulders of Bahay and Amos. It has to be a collective effort. Chris Kun, as Gab mentioned, has to be a lot better. He has to get a Chantuano mindset of tunnel vision. I don't know. Maybe they have to tell Chris Kun to have tunnel vision. He just plays the right way too much, in my opinion. He has to be more aggressive because I think he has the capability to score a ton and to be better. Hopefully, we see a better Chris Kun. I think he's finally getting healthy. Hopefully, no more injuries, no more excuses. So we'll see how it goes. Sam.
Okay, that's it for today's episode, special rivalry episode. If you have any comments or anything you want to add to this discussion, don't forget to comment down below. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please stay tuned because we'll talk more about the Pinoy Liga games, player movement around the UAAP, and the upcoming Philoyen games. So see you again next time. Bye-bye.